What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Sansom Sports Media Podcast. We're your hosts, Hunter and Michael, coming at you today with a quick, instant reaction of the college football playoff coming out this weekend. I'm sitting here watching them discuss it on the screen behind me, and here is your bracket. So, what are your initial thoughts? Did they get it right or did they get it wrong, Mike?
I'm just shocked, honestly, because I guess they just, two things. I don't think they wanted to deal with the backlash of Miami beat Notre Dame, and we're going to leave Miami out and Notre Dame in with the same record.
The game should matter.
Yeah. But if it was the case, then Miami should have been ranked higher in the first place.
Disagree. All of the teams above them, except for maybe in Oregon, have looked better and have better wins on their resume. Oregon about the same kind of level wins, but you've got teams like Bama and Oklahoma, and A&M and Ole Miss, like all the SEC teams, even Tech you could throw in there, who have beaten good teams, have one loss or less, and look really, really good while doing it. Miami has struggled a bit. They lost to SMU. They lost to Louisville. I'm okay with them being on that bubble. What screwed the committee is they put out weekly rankings.
Yep.
And they put out a ranking after all of these teams were done and then flipped them after.
Yeah.
I had said it yesterday, but they screwed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they have nobody to blame but themselves, and there was no good answer. Although I do think they got it right in the end.
So here's the thing. So Indiana went to 1. That made sense, right?
Absolutely had to happen.
Undefeated,
yes.
Beat Ohio State, fine. I could have gone with Georgia, Ohio State at 2. I think had Indiana been the one that lost, Georgia going to 2 would have made more sense. But you're not going to move Georgia. You're not going to drop Ohio State down 2 spots for a 3-point loss in a championship game.
Agreed. And that when they revealed that told me Bama was in because they're not punishing teams for their losses.
Let's get there. Hold on a second.
I know.
So Tech at 4, fine. Oregon at 5, fine. I think A&M could have been 6.
I'm okay with either way there.
So 8 Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's a rematch between Oklahoma and Alabama, I see now.
Yep.
I thought they had an easy thing to do, which would have been Bama looked terrible in that game against Georgia. Yeah. They could have just dropped them to 10, and then Notre Dame would have been in at 9.
I don't think they wanted to do that.
I don't either.
I think the committee had been using the eye test up until kind of like an AP ranking. They had just defaulted to Notre Dame keeping the climb because they had won 10 in a row. And once I think they truly scrubbed the entire field this week. And when they did that, they realized Miami had to be ahead of Notre Dame. Kirk Herbstreit spent all day yesterday, and every time I heard him on TV talking about how the BYU loss was the most important thing of the day for Miami and Notre Dame. And it was, because it got them side by side, and it made it a conversation. Obviously, they went with the team who had the head-to-head victory.
Now, here's the thing. They didn't drop Alabama for looking terrible in the championship game.
Correct.
But they did drop BYU for looking terrible against Tech.
Correct.
That's where I don't like the inconsistency.
Agreed.
You had 2 easy things you could have done if you wanted Notre Dame in the playoff, which would have been move them up to 9 and then Bama's at 10 and they're in. Or just left BYU at 11 and then Miami stays at 12. Yep. Why would you punish BYU for playing an extra game when they said that the resume was better than Miami through 12 games? So they went on and played. I know they looked at, after scoring the first touchdown against Texas Tech, they looked terrible after that. I get that. But why are we punishing BYU but not punishing Alabama?
And we didn't punish Ohio State. Same thing.
Well, that's a 3-point loss. I get
correct.
That.
But tomato. Like we're punishing Virginia. We're punishing BYU, but we're not punishing Bama. We're not going to punish other teams. Like it's we're picking and choosing a little bit. And I understand why they didn't punish Alabama. I did see a report last night. They had like 7 injured players who didn't play yesterday, all of which are expected to be back for Oklahoma. Maybe you could make that argument, say injuries hurt, but they had to do this or conference championships were never going to happen ever.
Right.
I'm
will
pretty
say
confident.
This. Once I saw Miami in, I knew that James Madison was going to get the other spot for the group of 5 because then there was no reason to put in Duke.
Yes. And I think that you're hitting the nail on the head there. There was a little bit of, we have to make sure that this power conference gets into the playoff.
Yep.
And we cannot put Duke in the playoff. And I'm very glad, because I honestly was concerned the committee was going to put Duke in, leave JMU out, and put Notre Dame in. And that would have been just royally screwed up. But I hope the ACC takes this back and changes their tiebreaker system, first and foremost.
Yes.
And I hope that people now realize that the games matter, because Notre Dame getting left out for Miami, even though that game happened in September, mattered and was the reason that this team got left out. Every game matters, and that's something they had to drive home.
I got to say, it's going to be very interesting. Notre Dame and Miami play again next year, this time in South Bend. Notre Dame's going to be ready for that game.
I mean, the Catholics versus convicts rivalry is reigniting.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect, and I'm not saying that as any derogatory way, because, convicts is a terrible name to call somebody. But, obviously there's history there, and I love that that's coming back. This will ignite that into a full-on rivalry again.
Yeah.
Also, do you think Notre Dame is kind of forced to join a conference at this point?
No.
You don't?
No. What conference are they going to join?
I'm sure any of them would take them. To be fully honest, I don't think there'd be any disagreement from anybody.
They already play half of the team from the SEC, from the ACC, so maybe that would make the most sense.
And basketball's already there.
That would make the most sense. If they join the ACC, they're probably going 11-1 every year.
But they're going 11-1. They're winning their conference championship game, and they're knocking JMU or Miami out of the bracket.
That's true.
If you're not in a conference, you can't really, I'm sorry, but you lose some of that credibility to argue, because they couldn't go out and prove it. They had their chances.
The other one they could join would be the Big Ten.
Yep.
They play a lot of, they're Midwest based. Obviously they play a lot of Big Ten teams. I
would love that.
I think they're supposed to play Wisconsin again next year. I think Michigan State too.
Yep.
Is there any doubt they'd finish worse than 10-2 in that overall?
No,
they may
probably
lose to
not.
Ohio State. Maybe they lose to Indiana.
Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon. You're going to be in that tier of teams.
After that,
sure.
they're clearly better than what? Well,
Michigan. They beat USC. They're better than Michigan. They're in that top tier with those top 4 or 5 teams. The issue is they don't get to go win their conference championship. You're opening yourself up to being screwed every single year if you're not in a conference. It's that simple.
The one game, in a way, that kind of keeps them out isn't so much the Miami loss, but that 1 point home loss to Notre Dame where they missed, to A&M where they missed an extra point.
Yeah.
And there was kind of a controversial ending on the 4th down play that A&M converted that many say should not have counted.
Correct.
They win that game, they're up at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Maybe higher.
They lost by a total of 4 points.
Yeah.
And it's not an exaggeration to say those 4 points cost them 8 to 10 spots in the playoffs. Least. Obviously, if they win both of those, they're 13 or 12-0 and sitting there in first place.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you lost. And the committee did well at honoring who had to play the games. And while I don't agree with necessarily where Alabama is, the regular season counted, while for the most part, the conference championships did not count. For the most part.
Yeah. I am not in the Nick Saban camp of we need to drop the group of 5 teams from having a chance.
Agreed. If we're going to do that, let's split it up into another FBS, FCS split off and break the group of 5 off, because it's not fair to them.
Texas and Vanderbilt had 12 games to prove that they belonged in the playoff.
Correct.
Texas, I know they went and played Ohio State and lost. They also lost to a 4-8 Florida team.
Yep.
That's their own fault. It's not Tulane's fault. It's not James Madison's fault. Vanderbilt, great season. They should be very happy about how their season turned out. Where they've come from as a football school, even as a basketball school now.
Yeah.
Right. But you lost to Texas and you lost to Alabama.
Correct.
You had a couple great chances there. We all knew, looking at their schedule, that the rest of that wasn't going to be as helpful. Their best win was on the road against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Are they probably better than Tulane and James Madison?
Yes.
I guess, sure.
Yes. But I'd make the same argument that we do in college basketball.
Right.
You have to give them a chance. And college football is so drastically different that I don't want to make them like apples to apples, because football, it is a different playing field for the power conference teams, whereas a lot of the mid-majors in basketball can get by being competitive, but football is just not like that. I understand that. Getting 2 teams in is tough. I have a feeling we're going to see automatic qualifiers specified a little bit better, and I have a feeling it'll be a 16-team playoff next year.
One other little thing that I noticed here. One of the reasons for maybe not flipping Ole Miss and A&M. So you already have an Ole Miss Tulane rematch.
Yep.
You have an Oklahoma Alabama rematch.
Yeah.
By putting A&M at 7 and not having Notre Dame in, you don't have yourself another rematch.
Yeah. They could have avoided the 6. I mean, they could have avoided a handful of these rematches just by
putting Ole Miss at 7 and putting A&M at 6.
Yeah, or I mean, if you would have thrown Notre Dame in, that would have been an obvious flip, obviously. I think Oklahoma and Bama were probably headed just straight for a rematch, just the way that the cookie crumbled. It is what it is. I don't hate it. If you're going to have a 12-team playoff, and we can sit here and we can argue, oh, every conference is good. No conference is consistently as good as the SEC. It's proven year in and year out. The top of the Big Ten is the best in the country right now, but the SEC is deeper. You're going to have rematches when you have 5 and 6 teams in a 12-team playoff.
Yes.
It happens.
Yeah. Hunter sent me a top 25 thing to set, and I actually put Notre Dame at 8 ahead of Oklahoma. Nice. I think Notre Dame is better than Oklahoma, but Oklahoma beat Alabama on the road.
Yep.
You have to give that to them.
Yep.
They beat Michigan in the non-conference. That you have to give that to them.
Exactly.
And I said all along, back when Mateer was hurt, healthy or unhealthy, if this team finishes 10-2, they're going to be in the playoff. Because I saw their schedule and I saw what getting to 10-2 was going to mean.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were going to get there by beating Alabama. I thought they were just going to beat Texas.
Yeah.
And, it wouldn't have been a big issue, but that's not what happened. But they got there at 10-2, and I figured they would.
Yeah.
I also said early on, I wasn't sure if Notre Dame ran the table and finished 10-2 if they would make it.
Yeah. And, I mean, look at who Notre Dame played. They played a lot of names, and we talk about it in college basketball a lot. You play names, but those names have to mean something. And unfortunately this year, your Arkansas, your Wisconsins, I mean, even your USC and Michigan weren't elite level games, and it hurt.
They really need Stanford and Boston College to fix their athletics and get back to being competitive in their sports.
Yes.
I don't want to get into my criticisms of some of the former Pac-12 teams now in the ACC that, create some influence into them. But they need to get better, plain and simple.
Agreed. Any other thoughts? So kind of going back to the top 4, they had the top 4. It was a clear 1, 2, 3, 4, and the order didn't necessarily matter to me.
No.
Can't talk. Oregon is not that much better than Alabama or Oklahoma. The margins are pretty close. So getting 5 versus 9 or 8 in your first, your matchup, doesn't really affect me too much. I think the key here is they stood on their principle of the conference championship isn't going to kill you, other than BYU, which I think probably should have been a little bit lower anyways, because they hadn't played or beaten anybody. But I thought the top 4 were good. I thought 5 was obvious as well. 6 and 7 were the same 2 teams, just you could flip-flop them for matchup purposes if you wanted to. 8 was obvious, and then you had 9, 10. I'm glad they did right by JMU and put them in the playoff because they deserved it over Duke.
Yeah. And the BYU thing about how they had beaten all these, and we said this last week, about how they beat this 8-win team and 7-win team and 9-win team. Go look at the Big 12 teams and see who they played in non-conference, and you'll see why a lot of them finished 8-4, 9-3. They played a lot of nobodies and won 3 games. That doesn't mean that, you can't just go, oh, they beat this 8-win team. It matters who they play. It's the same thing in college basketball. When it gets to the final, weekend of the season, and you're looking at, and people look at UC Irvine and they see them 25-4, they're like, wow. And everyone goes, well, who do they play? It worked for BYU too, and works for the Big 12. They didn't play teams. They played a lot of the bottom parts of FBS, some even not FBS.
Yeah.
Okay, so that does matter. And again, like we said, BYU did not play anybody other than Texas Tech that they lost to.
Correct.
And they beat Arizona or Houston as their best win.
Yeah. Unfortunately, probably Utah, their best win.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's still just a top 15. I mean, they came out at 15.
I put Houston, Arizona at the back end of the top 25 just because you have to have 25 teams in the top 25.
Correct, but the committee did not. They put
right.
Georgia Tech and Iowa and those types of teams in there.
Yeah.
They had the full 25 a minute ago, and there were not many Big 12 representation on there. The conference cannibalized itself. A great example for our local friends, Cincinnati. I mean, look at how hot they started, and then obviously once they played tougher competition, they fumbled. That's what you saw with a lot of the Big 12. Is just they played weak teams and then racked up a bunch of meaningless wins, and here we are. With that, I do think that they did a good job at balancing, hey, you need to schedule good teams. Look at Miami, look at Alabama. I mean, you schedule good teams, you get a little bit more leeway than if you schedule a terrible schedule and you only have 1 or 2 losses. So I do like that every game mattered. I love that Miami and Notre Dame head-to-head was cited, and I love that that game actually mattered even though it was in August or September. If we're going to play games, they all have to matter. I would love to see the conference championships matter more, but I can understand why we don't want to punish a team for playing an extra game. But I would like to see a little bit more kind of clear kind of criteria on that. If they are going to punish teams, maybe we, like Alabama, maybe we could punish them by putting them at 10 instead of putting them at 9, but don't necessarily have to drop them all the way out. I just would prefer to see some sort of punishment for that kind of thing.
I am actually looking forward to that Oregon JMU game. I want to see how that turns out.
Oregon wins by 3 touchdowns.
You think so?
I think, unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, it's a different level of football. I think JMU probably loses 20 or so points. I think Tulane probably also loses.
Well, Tulane already played Ole Miss and lost. What was it, 45-10?
Yes. So as we've already seen, I expect them to lose by
since James Madison hasn't already played Oregon, maybe it might be a little different.
Agreed. I think Tulane and Ole Miss might be the better of the 2 games.
Yeah, maybe.
New coach, Ole Miss with all the drama and the new coach.
That's the one thing that I think will be interesting.
Yeah.
Is the new coach. But I think, we'll see if James Madison has enough offensive firepower.
That's where
I
don't think they do. Yeah.
But, Oregon has had their moments where they haven't looked great against lesser competition.
Correct.
We'll see.
They could play down to them. They aren't going to have played in like a month. JMU obviously played on Friday. Maybe JMU's fresher can jump on them early and go. But I'll take Oregon to win by multiple touchdowns on that one.
No Boise State situation?
No Boise State.
Okay.
Are you taking Oregon as well, or?
I think it'll be closer than 3 touchdowns.
Fair. Bama or Oklahoma? I'm taking OU.
I'll take Bama in the rematch with a healthier team.
I don't trust that Bama will be fully healthy. I think they're playing we're going to be healthy, so we get in card.
I also saw Oklahoma the last 2 weeks of the season, too. Then again, not to say that Alabama looked much better.
Yeah. Either team loses to Indiana. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Tulane, Ole Miss. Again, I'm taking Ole Miss, but I think it will be pretty close.
Give me Miami over A&M as the upset. Miami with the chip on their shoulder. That maybe they should have been in. Maybe they should have been. Boom.
I'll disagree. Kyle Field's just going to be too hard to play at, so I'll take A&M. Oregon, Texas Tech. I'm taking Tech.
I'll take Tech just because I think Oregon has a tougher. Well, yeah, I'll take Tech.
Okay.
And Indiana wins.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty easily.
Over either team, I think, and same with Georgia,
and same with Ohio State.
Yep. So we've gotten to what we all expected.
Yeah.
Texas Tech and Indiana. Who do you got?
Indiana.
I agree. Georgia, Ohio State. I'm taking Ohio State. I've said it for a couple weeks. I think we're going to see 2 matchups of Indiana and Ohio State, one in Indianapolis and one in Miami.
I'm going to take Georgia.
Fair.
And I'll take Georgia over Indiana.
Okay. I'm taking Ohio State to win the Natty. So I think the 2 or the 3, whoever comes out of there wins. I do think that Ohio State got out-coached last night, and I don't necessarily think Ryan Day will let that happen twice in a row.
One thing I want to say finally about Indiana.
Yep.
It was good to see them get that kind of a win.
Yes.
Because, I mean, as great as Kirk Cignetti has been for that team, and what he's done for the program, turned them around. They've got like close to 25 wins in the last 2 years, but a lot of them against the weaker part of the Big Ten.
Yeah, they've had a favorable schedule for sure, but they proved everything today.
So it was great to see them finally get that kind of a win.
Agreed. And now I think it's pretty clear, at least to me, Kirk Cignetti might be the best coach in the country right now.
Coach of the year?
He's absolutely the coach of the year. He has to be. But I think he's the best coach in the country at this point. He's doing more than Kirby or Ryan Day or really anybody with less competition, like with less recruiting. Like he's doing more with less, basically is what I'm trying to say. And he deserves some credit for that.
I'm also interested to see Sayin in some of these big college football playoff games because he was not very good yesterday.
Agreed. Yeah. I think Indiana's defense is probably a little bit better than what we gave him credit for, and that's contributing there.
And also in college football, even more so than the pro, you cannot put your life on a field goal attempt.
Correct. Yeah. Even if it is a 15, 20-yard kick, you cannot do it. Yeah. With that, guys, we did just want to hop on and give you all that quick reactions. We did not talk about it. We just hopped straight on and did this live. I'll get this posted up and you're seeing it Sunday afternoon into Monday. And guys, we appreciate you. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're getting our viewership up, which we love. And we want to make sure we're giving content to you guys, but make sure you subscribe so it comes straight to your feed. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everyone.